Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 46 of the Comic Room Pod. I'm your host, Spro, and with me, as always, is Mr. Longbox.
How's it going?
I almost doubted the 46, but then I was like,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it 46?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've lost. All I'm thinking is we're on to year 2.
yeah. I will mark this on Spotify as the start of the second season.
Yeah. Season 2, episode 1.
Yep.
Let's
So
go.
it's supposed to be, yeah. So, hope you guys are doing well. This is Superman week. At least when you guys are listening to this, it'll be a few days short of Superman.
Yep.
So big week for DC. I feel like everything is just resting on the shoulders of the Superman movie and the future of DC.
The whole James Gunn launch is the tone's going to get set right here.
Yeah. Overall, I'm excited. I have expectations for sure, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of discourse about this movie going on. There's a lot of people hating it. There's a lot of people loving it. So really, I'm going in like split. Like,
Yeah. I'm excited about it,
yeah. I'm expecting. What is it that MJ says in No Way Home? It's expect disappointment and you'll never be disappointed. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
I'm expecting greatness. I want greatness.
So then he'll come in way more sad next week if it's
No,
bad.
it's going to be great. Some movies, though, I have gone in and thought, yeah, I don't expect anything good from this and been surprised. And it is kind of fun, when you expect, like Madam Web, I just expected that to be the worst movie. Why am I even bothering? And I didn't see it in the theater because of that. And I saw it on, my little screen. And it actually was okay. I thought it was mildly entertaining, was what
Sure.
it was, Craven, didn't expect a lot. And I actually really enjoyed that
We
movie.
went in with low expectations.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
So, I probably have a better chance of feeling disappointed with Superman, but at the same time, maybe my expectations also makes me lean more toward I'm ready to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, come on, I just want to enjoy the popcorn and watch a movie that makes you want to get up out of my seat and cheer. Can we get that?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah. Either way, I'm excited to be a big week. So make sure you guys are tuned in for next week's episode. Alongside next week's episode, I don't have it near me. Is this it? This is it. Okay. I never gave you guys a day in which this giveaway for Luke Cage Hero Fire 1 would be actually announced. So that means I'll give you guys another week to comment on that last video, follow all the rules, hear the rules again, subscribe to the channel, comment on episode 45, so last week's episode.
Our birthday episode.
Yeah. Comment on episode 45, your favorite moment of the podcast in the last year. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at Spros_comics and at Mr. Period Longbox. And next week, before we talk about Superman, we will choose a winner.
Yep.
And you will get this detached cover copy. I got a 1/8.
Just so you know, it's because of this right here that I'm gonna buy one of Joshua's Luke Cage ones out of his inventory because I've wanted this book for so long and I don't own it. And here we are, we're giving one away. And as I said last episode, I don't want to give it away. I want to keep it. Which of course I do want to give it away. It's fun, for that. So, but I found perhaps a way that I can have the best of both worlds.
You can have your cake and eat it too.
You just gotta pay for it.
GPA, it just will randomly sign you out. There's no rhyme or reason to when they kick you out and make you sign in again.
That's why I used Go Collect. I got tired of it.
This was the worst moment to kick me out. Okay, so I got this thing as a 1/8 cover detached. The last sale on a 2.0 was actually this year. Oh no, on a 2.5 this year was $145. So I might be like $100.
Yeah. Look, man, it's just a great book to be able to say you have.
True. Exactly.
Take it from me. I'm going to buy one.
True. And low grade copies, man. Sometimes just that entry level to a nice key, especially a book like this, getting entry level. I mean, this is real entry level. Yeah. But getting entry level to a black cover book like this, where it's where you want the book, you get in on it and you wait until you find the right copy because it's hard to find the right copy when it comes to this book.
But at least you have it.
Yeah. It's always a good thing. I do that all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting to do that now.
So yeah, make sure you follow those rules. Next week, before we talk about Superman, we'll pick a winner. So,
that'll be fun.
New poster. This is new for you YouTube watchers. Filmed for IMAX Dune.
That's really
1.
cool. I love it.
So beautiful. So I've been streaming a game called Dune Awakening. If you want to come watch me stream, I stream on twitch.tv/stillspro. And this part of the wall is like in the background of my stream. My desk is right here, and I have like the camera angled so that it sees this. And just playing that game a lot, my wife and I and a good friend of mine. And so I was like, I had the Batman poster up here at one point. I had the Spider-Verse poster, and I was like, man, you know what? It's like I need to get a Dune poster for like immersion. So I bought this thing, and it is gorgeous.
I love it.
Yeah,
beautiful. All right, while they're looking at the wall, I got to tell them this right here.
Sure.
See these two 9.8s right here? these came from my collection. They were a gift, I think, for Christmas. Birthday. I had, I think, 3 of the 4 extra copies, 3 of the 4. So I and 2 of them, one of them you looked at and said probably not a 9.8 candidate. These 2 came back a 9.8 from my PC that I bought these, from my LCS way back in the day. But the funny thing is, I never get a 9.8 from CGC. Like if I had sent these identical books in, they would have come back a 9.6. I'm like the 9.6 king from them. They're like, oh, it's Longbox. Let's give him a 9.6 because we don't want to break our streak. But so I think that's the secret in the future. When I've got a book, like a modern book that I want to get created, I'm going to put it in your collection, your submission. It's the only way.
I am sending in this next. We got a big batch of vintage that we're sending in.
Yeah,
it'll probably end up being like $12-15. So
it's going to be good.
Hopefully you win some instead of losing some.
It'll be nice. But I was really happy for you. Those are great.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing cover. McFarlane cover right here. This one, not a McFarlane cover, but McFarlane art.
Yeah. I mean,
it's awesome.
It's one of the best.
Batman with a gun?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So, new poster. I'm almost done with the book. I should finish it tonight or tomorrow. I was driving to go visit some friends who live about an hour away. Each way, and so I was audiobooking. Darren and I were driving, and on the way home, I mean, I think I drove on pure muscle memory because
you don't remember it.
I don't remember it.
Yeah,
and I was locked in on the book because I've seen the movie. I love the movies, and obviously I'm towards the end of the first book, which means it's like I'm towards the end of Dune Part 2. But the whole chapter is my favorite scene in the movie. But it was so different, like wildly different. So I'm sitting there driving, and I'm like this the whole time. And I'm locked in. And then I get home, and I'm like,
how did I get here?
How did I get here?
That's me, because I drive to work and back, and it's about an hour commute, and I'll often listen to a book. And I know I'm watching the road. I know I'm not, because if I wasn't, I'd hit someone by now, right?
Yeah.
And the cars are so automated these days, like it won't let me hit something. It'll like alert me. It'll stop me ultimately, right? But I have no recollection of the drive.
Yeah.
Like I'll be driving. I'll go, wait, did I go through or not?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
You know, because all the terrain kind of looks the same.
Yep.
And then I go, oh yeah, okay. But it's a great way to pass the time when you're driving.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I love it. I love Audible. I'm a huge Audible fan.
Yeah, so
That's great, Joshua.
That was pretty funny. So the next couple chapters are like pretty short, and then the last chapter is like an hour long. I'm like hybrid listening and reading. Yeah. Like, and then sometimes listening and reading at the same time.
Yeah, that's kind of fun too. Just as long as you're not doing that when you're driving.
Yeah. So I've listened to this book I've listened and read this book every which way possible.
Yeah.
Because sometimes with world building, it's just like, especially when you already know what's like, seen the movie, so you like get a gist of what's going on. You're just like, man.
Like we're in a hobby that at least is wouldn't you say 50% writing and reading? Like,
yeah.
So, obviously we're going to promote reading and enjoying stories.
True.
But then of course the other half is art, and that's some beautiful looking art right there. I really like that.
So I saw this tweet. I won't stop talking about Dune soon, I promise. They were like, this was like before I got into like the meat of the book, and they were like, the movie is so good, and it's like it is so much like the book, and it is so different. Like they were like, if this is one point, and then this is like if the characters start here and this is where the characters end up, it's like the book takes this route and ends up here, and then the movie takes this route, and they just go a totally different route, but they end up in the exact same spot, and you're just like, how did he do that? And so I've experienced that now that I'm like reading kind of like the like intense stuff when it comes to Dune, and like my favorite scene, it was like, I'm from where I left all the characters last night, I'm like, how in the world are they gonna get? There's so many different tensions going on than what were in the movie. And so I'm like, wow, that tweet was like, they were actually,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they were spot on. So,
by the way, if you're wondering why am I all in red, white, and blue and these crazy shoes? It's still the 4th of July weekend, and I'm still celebrating the 4th of July. So there you go. I'm wearing as much red, white, and blue as I can manage.
Sorry, British people,
without being completely obnoxious. Yeah, if you're out of the country listening, hey man, it's our national birthday, so I'm celebrating.
Get wrecked, British people.
We love you, but we're independent.
All right, show and tell.
Yeah.
All right, what you got for us?
Okay, I have a show and tell that it involves a story that I promised to tell around this thing, because this show and tell writes a very serious wrong that I committed against myself about 35 years ago.
Okay, hold on for a second. I forgot what in the world you were talking about. And then I was like,
oh no, it's sad. Well, you'll enjoy the story too then. It'll be like hearing it for the first time. Okay, this, when you see it, you guys are going to be pumped for me. And if you've poked in on my Instagram, you already know what it is, but I'm sure you're guessing what it is. But y'all, check it out.
bang.
Bang. Fantastic Four issue number 2. The second appearance of them all.
If I was Mike Breen, I'd be like, bang, bang,
From way
bang.
downtown, bang. Yeah, exactly. Bang, bang. Like the OKC Steph shot. Yeah. First appearance of the Skrulls, which, is really neither here nor there. They're not, they're not singular. There is the Super Skrull first appearance, which I think is issue 15. But this is the from 1 to 10 in the FF, like I said, pretty much everything's a first appearance.
Yeah.
But this, I'm holding in my hand the second appearance of the characters that I grew up collecting, that I've desperately always wanted to collect the whole run from.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm kind of in awe of it, honestly. I love the cover. I always have. They're not even have uniforms yet. It's at a 2.5 with, what does it say on there? Off-white to white pages?
Creamed
off-white pages.
There you go. 2, 7, 3, and 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
With this book, I now have issues 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and annual issue number 1. So that's the entire first year minus 3 books.
Hey, this is called the Daisy Bob gun.
It was always meant for me. It was always meant for me, Scott. I mean, my name, literally, the book has my name on the back. And I got this book in a trade with Chris from Jaws Comics. So Jaws, Chris, thank you.
Yep.
I mean,
he's the if you guys remember, he's the one who traded me for my first copy of FF5.
Yeah. And I saw that he had advertised it as going to be on a claim sale that he was in. I was not able to get to the claim sale, but I saw the advertisement, his reel go by a couple times. So I thought, well, why not? Let me just message him and just, did it sell? Do you still have it? And he said he still had it, and we got going from there. And he was just very open to working a trade with me.
Yeah.
Like, he just said, yeah, we agreed on a value of the book. And then I sent him some books that kind of came close to that value, and we just it was very seamless. And then I just drove down to his office and picked it up. Yeah. And I've been pretty much like floating ever since. It's on display in my office at home. And the reason is obviously because it's FF2. It's realistically as close as I'll get to FF1 unless you and I decide somehow to one of two things happens. You and I decide to invest together in an issue, in a copy of FF1, or I win the lottery. But I don't play the lottery, so it's going to have to, something like that has to happen. And but the second reason is because, like I said, this rights are wrong. There's a story about this book for me. And the story involves the only time in my life I ever didn't make my rent payment. I was maybe 23, maybe 22. Out of college, living in a studio. So I was probably 22. Living in a studio in East Hollywood, right up against the retaining wall between the neighborhood and the 101 freeway. There were more roaches in that place than I can count. I mean, it's basically what you should expect to get when you're just out of college.
Yeah.
And anyway, but I still managed to find ways to buy comics here and there. I had a job that I got paid on tips. I was a bellman at a hotel. Anyway, didn't have any money to buy a book like this though. But I saw one. It was at a comic shop, a little bit out of I said I lived in East Hollywood or East LA, and it was maybe in San Bernardino somehow. I'm not even sure what I was doing out there, but there was a really clean copy of FF2, and they wanted $600 for it. And this was like 1992, 1991. So $600 in 1991 for FF2 would have put it in like a near mint VF condition. I wanted it. I didn't have $600, but $600 wasn't like $6,000, like,
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to be able to get it. So that's on my mind. And I'm talking to my friend Chris, who's the one who got me into collecting, and he lives in LA. He comes over to my place and we're talking about it. And he's like, yeah, what if we could go to Vegas and just like win the money? What if we could do? And so then from that point started a conversation which wound up with us playing a computer version of blackjack on my Mac SE, and we were trying out this new theory of gambling. Like, well, as long as you're willing to double your bet every time, you can't lose. Like if you lose, if you put $5 down and you lose, then you put $10 down, and if you lose, you put $20 down, and eventually you win it all back. Well, where do you make your money? You make your money on blackjacks and double downs and things like that. But you just so theoretically, it actually is true. Of course. I know you're all thinking, yeah, but quickly doubling your money gets out of hand, like very, very quickly.
You need a lot of money for that.
You have to have more money than you would need to ever gamble starting at $5. Like you wouldn't waste your time if you could fund that strategy, you wouldn't ever do it. You don't need to. But I was, this in the same way I'm optimistic about Superman, I was optimistic, but we're never going to get to that point. Like we would have to lose like 10 hands in a row to get to where it's just over the top, ridiculous numbers, right? So we're discovering that it's working because, of course, in the realm of computer gaming, we had unlimited funds. So we actually played it for a few hours, and we made a decent amount of money because we kept making our money on double downs and blackjacks, mostly blackjacks. And if we lost, we eventually broke even, and it was all good. If we had just ended there, it would have been fine. But being young and I guess stupid,
young, dumb, and broke.
Yeah, and about to get more broke. we thought it works. Let's go because this is that FF2 is not going to be there forever. We should do it. We got in a car that night. It was already dark. It had to been like 8:00. We got in his car and headed for the border of Nevada. In our mind, we were going to go to Vegas, but in the end, we only went to the border because we were so tired by the time we got there. We didn't even want to drive the extra 30 minutes to get to Las Vegas. We just went to the border where they have this janky, like, because two casinos just across the street from each other. Long story short, I go in there and it doesn't work because I don't have enough capital to back it up. So I run out of money. And then I compound the problem by going and getting more from the ATM machine. If I was going to do that, I should have just went and got a bunch more and had more capital. It might have had a chance. I was hoping on catching a little bit of hot streak.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I lost everything I had. And I went to the bank, took out everything I could possibly take out, and even a little more than I could take out. And I lost that too. And it happened fast.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been on, and I don't gamble anymore. I don't like it. I don't love the feeling of it. If you've ever been on a cold streak at the blackjack table, you know just how quickly you go from, I don't care how much you have, to nothing. It's just like, and trust me, I left the table. I went to a different dealer. I did all that stuff.
Yeah. It
just wasn't happening. And my friend also, he lost just as much as I did. So then we're, tail tucked between our legs. We're driving back through the desert in the middle of the night after maybe driving out there for 4 hours. It took us about an hour to lose everything we had. Get back in the car, drive back home. He gets a flat tire on the way home. We're trying to change a tire in the dark as the sun is coming up behind us, and I'm late for work because my job starts at I had a job at a comic shop too. And that job started I was working that anyway. I started at lunch or something, and we got back to LA and to just in time to get the rush hour traffic into LA from the east. And I was dead broke. The rent was coming due in a couple days. All I could hope was I was going to get some tips and make it. It didn't happen. I had to tell my landlord, basically landlady, I need a couple more days.
Yeah.
My only time in my life that happened because of my lust for this book right here. It's the ultimate bad beat in my life financially. Like I've lost and more money making dumb investments or just being stupid about buying a car that was too expensive.
Sure.
Then a few $100 at a blackjack table. But from where I was in my life at 22 and just scraping by, $100 was everything.
Yeah.
It was everything. So I didn't even know what I was thinking trying to find a way to buy a $600 book. Like I would hem and haw about a $600 book today. I do all the time. Right. And I'm thinking I can do it when I was 22. So I know this is not the book that was at the shop that I wanted because that book was in clean condition. This is 2.5. But to me, this right here is the most beautiful book I've ever owned. I can take this book and look at it back through time at 22-year-old Bob and say, you should have waited, fool. You would have had it eventually. You didn't have to go through the shame of losing your money at a table and then having not to be able to pay your rent. But it's over with now. I can lay that ghost to rest at long last. And in fact, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to take a picture of this book and send it to my friend Chris.
I was about to ask if you'd done that.
I realized that I haven't done that yet, but I need to do it because I'm going to go remember what this spurred on? The worst situation financially in my life.
Does he still live on the West Coast?
Yeah, he still lives in LA.
Oh, send a picture of it to him now. Let's see if we can get a response time before the episode ends.
That's a great idea. I will. I'll do that right now. Okay, while I do that, you give us your show and tell.
Yeah. All right. So, how am I going to start this? Okay, so this is, I guess, also the first piece of news and part of my show and tell, but comics lost a legend this week in Jim Shooter. All-time great, editor-in-chief for a long time. And so just to kind of honor him, I have pulled out my 9/8 copy of Marvel Superhero Secret Wars issue number 8.
Awesome.
Just because I think, we can go back and forth about what his greatest contribution is to comics, but when you talk about Marvel comics, Spider-Man is the number one, and the things that came from Jim Shooter and his editors and whoever else was helping him just generally with the story from creating this black suit Spider-Man, that leading into Venom and leading into, just everything that comes of that. Like this comic written by Jim Shooter leading to the symbiote suit has led on to so many great things in Marvel comics and Marvel movies. So I haven't really been buying too much lately. I've been kind of more selling or buying like inventory. So I haven't bought much for my PC recently. So this is actually in my inventory. So just kind of wanted to honor the legend, Jim Shooter, as I think, probably one of the greatest contributions to comics of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, the Black Suit
Absolutely.
Spider-Man is so iconic,
It's
and
a gift
Venom.
that keeps giving, right?
Yeah,
That's a
totally.
whole franchise he came up with.
Yeah. So, and we got the Secret Wars movie coming out and next year, or maybe even, or no, the year after
Yep.
at Doomsday. So, yeah, dude was just a legend.
Yeah, yeah.
So, 9.8 copy of one of the best Spidey keys of all time. So,
Rest in peace, Mr. Shooter.
yeah,
Thanks for the memories, right?
yeah, a legend, truly. So,
And the not just the memories, but all the great stories we're gonna get
yeah,
from your characters.
yeah. So,
Nice. That's cool, dude. I love it.
yeah,
Nice pick.
yeah. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
that's all I have to say.
Legend
about
is right, man. Legend is right. Can you say?
that. Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna send this to my friend now.
do it.
I gotta take a picture of it. Let's see. Camera. I always want to hit photos when I need the camera, and I always hit camera when I need photos. Hey, wait, do you want to just take a picture of me holding it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll make more sense.
Perfect.
All right. He's probably thinking, what are you doing in front of a microphone?
Yeah, true.
All right. All right. Let's see. If he responds, I'll let you guys know what he says.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
If he sees it, he will.
All right. So, news.
News.
That was the. I'm gonna just get the sad news out because it's just a sad week.
Yeah,
for,
right. It was
for comics.
It was a
So
sad week.
we lost Jim Shooter, and we also lost Julian McMahon, who played Doctor Doom in the Chris Evans, Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Ian Grufford, is that his name? Ian Grufford, Fantastic Four movies. So, yeah, just not sad news, but just thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Our first on-screen Doom, I think. There was the 90s FF movie, but that movie was never actually released.
Right.
So, yeah, and with all the with the multiverse stuff, I'm curious if he was in talks to maybe reprise his role, which I'm sure they were bringing
Yeah.
It seems like they had intentions to bring everybody back.
Yeah. People were asking for it. They were hoping.
Yeah. So, we lost him this week. I think both to cancer, which is just horrible. So yeah, rest in peace to those guys. But now we'll move on to some brighter news. Marvel Studios is reportedly trying to decide whether to develop Nova and Strange Academies as TV shows or films.
Okay, that's interesting. What do you think? I mean, I haven't read Strange Academy, so I feel like a fraud, like commenting on it.
Yeah.
But I will say that I've heard it's almost like a superhero 90210 kind of feel to it, which feels more serial to me than a movie. Like it feels like it should. But I don't know. You guys, if you guys have read it, you comment, let me know. Let us know what you think. But and I don't. Nova feels more like a big screen thing to me.
Yeah, Nova feels like a movie.
Yeah.
I can see Strange Academy going both ways. I've read maybe half of the Strange Academy run. I think where my thought process is at is there's a lot of characters in Strange Academy, so it just might work better as a show. Because like you said, with FF, there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell the story of 4 people in 2 hours. So I think Strange Academy might just work better as a show.
Yeah, build that as a show, and then if it's really hugely popular, you could always make a movie.
Yeah, and I mean, like the cool thing about Strange Academy is because it is a school, so you could be like, cast like each episode could be like WandaVision, how it was like through the different sitcom decades. With the school, you could be like casting spells 101, and then potion making 101 or something like, I don't know, and just each episode is like focused on a component of magic that feeds into the bigger story that's being told.
I wonder if they made it a movie, if it would feel too much like a Harry Potter rip.
Probably not, only because it's a little more grunge.
And 20 years have passed since the first Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay. At least I forget about that sometimes.
And there's more with Strange Academy. There's more like what's his name? Voodoo. So like
Brother Voodoo.
Yeah, so like that type of magic, like spiritual type magic. And
speaking of Brother Voodoo, the first appearance of Brother Voodoo has cooled off a lot.
Yeah.
But if they're talking about like seriously,
was it Strange Tales 168? I think
that's it. Yeah. If they're talking about actually developing this into a property, it's gonna get red hot again.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, if you're watching this podcast, it may be just a brief amount of time where you can still pick it up cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that to myself too, because I don't own it.
I think I have a copy floating around somewhere.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah. Spider-Man will reportedly team up with the Punisher to take down Savage Hulk in Spider-Man Brand New Day.
I heard it was going to be more mellow, the Punisher.
I mean, it would have to be.
Like, he's not going to be as vicious as he is in Daredevil.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has to be because they're going for the PG-13, right?
Yeah.
He could be more mellow and still be plenty violent based on where,
for sure.
If Netflix is the starting point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know necessarily how it would be executed, but I feel like it wouldn't be too hard. And I think most viewers, petty viewers would be mad. They're like, oh, he needs to be violent, he needs to be R, nothing. But it's like, okay, well, if he's going to cross over with Spider-Man,
right,
that it has to be like this. And so it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. The second time I've used that saying in the last hour.
It's a good saying. You got cake on the mind ever since we had the cake from last episode, which was good, by the way.
Yeah, it was really good.
I wonder if what Marvel will do about the fact that Punisher in his original iteration is a dude with a sniper rifle raining down on
Spider-Man,
his targets, whoever they are. That seems somewhat out of step with where we are as a society right now, what we want to get away from.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that they want him. I don't know they want to put that out there quite that way, right?
Yeah, which is, I guess, for more audiences, putting it in a Spider-Man movie is like you put him versus the Hulk. Like, that probably helps balance it out. But in the show, obviously, he's going after corrupt cops and that type of storytelling. Like, that's for like people who like want to watch it,
right?
Like that TV show type. Like, if you want to watch The Punisher, you're gonna go watch that. If you don't want to watch it, you're probably not gonna go find it. And those are probably gonna be the people who have a harder time juggling it all. But it's like if it's in a Spider-Man movie, you just have him going up against a raging monster who's like potentially causing harm on Manhattan. Then it's like, oh, okay, yeah,
that's what they got to do.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a movie. I mean, it would be. Yeah, you couldn't have anything that was in the Punisher show or even the Daredevil show in like a Spider-Man movie of like what he pulls off. But it works because it's like
it's gritty.
Yeah, it's also just like these things are evil. Like, and this is a man who's like trying to eradicate evil. And there's obviously a lot of moral discussion in like, are you as evil as that evil because of the way that you're handling it?
He operates outside of the law, so he doesn't have to follow those same rules.
Yeah,
which is why that's what you want with a vigilante. A vigilante who operates inside the law. Yeah, really vigilante, right?
Yeah,
it's just a copper's helper.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been wanting to rewatch Punisher. That show's so good. The first episode is crazy.
Yeah, you should rewatch it.
When he is working on the construction site.
Punisher. Yeah, the construction site. Yeah.
Marvel Rivals developers say they will never run out of characters to add to their game. They're licensed to turn any character in the history of Marvel into a playable hero. So comment down below. What hero should they add next?
I already know which one I want. It would be the most OP. I want the Impossible Man.
It can, 15 years down the line.
If they could do Jeff the Land Shark, can we get the Impossible Man?
Yeah.
That would be pretty slick. Like, it would be kind of a funny comic relief one, but the Impossible Man as a defensive guy, because he can turn into anything.
Yeah.
Like a wall.
I think this upcoming season, which is like in a week and a half, where they put the new patch in, is going to be Jean Grey. And then after that is Blade.
Oh, fun.
So
I want to see Blade and Moon Knight go at it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's what's fun about Marvel Rivals is you can, because that's the question, right? Who would win in a fight between this and the other? Like, well, now you have to, you can find out.
Yeah, one of my mains is Thing, and I love every time there's a Hulk on another team, and it's just me and the Hulk.
Oh, you would have to, like, there's
all we
no
do
way
is
around
punch each other. Like that's all. Yeah,
It's like a prop bet. Nothing. Whatever else is going on in the game, this is the thing right here. If I was playing Marvel Rivals the way you, as much as you do, or at all actually, I would. But I like watching it. I would. It would be the Thing and the Torch. Those would be my two dudes.
Torch came out and he was really bad, and then he got buffed and he was way too good. Then he got a slight nerf and he wasn't really played that much. So I gave him another buff and he was insane again.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're giving him a nerf. So he's just getting buff, nerf, buff, nerf, buff, nerf. They can't quite find the right balance.
Yeah, well, he teams up with other flamethrowing or
He teams up with Storm.
Ranged fighters, and it gets pretty, like, Storm can do
Fire
like
tornado,
and then you just
yeah.
So that's area of effect damage, right?
Yeah. And I think now they're changing that. They're like taking that one out, and I think that his team up is going to be with Spider-Man next season.
All right.
So it makes sense. They were roommates during college in the comics, and they're best buds.
How easily flame wipes out spider webs.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
how do they?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how the team up works, but apparently it's good for both of them.
They got to bring the Surfer in. He's not in it yet, right?
No.
How cool would that be?
Yeah. Speaking of the Surfer, okay, so I'll use this to branch off into two different things. One is, these are like half news. So speaking of the Surfer, remember from the trailer where she says, "I herald your end, I herald his beginning, I herald Galactus."
Yeah.
That sound is trending on TikTok.
Because it's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, like people, they're not even like. Sometimes it's not even related to FF. Like most of the time, it's not related to FF. Like sometimes, but like it was used for like, it was like a mom made a TikTok, and it was like, when your kids are acting up, so you got to remind them that their dad is on the way home.
That's hilarious.
Which was always the scary thing. You know, I had to say, "Oh, mom," and my dad worked. And then it was like when me and my sister were acting up, and we just like were not listening to my mom. The scariest thing you could hear is, "Okay, just wait till your dad gets home."
Ooh.
And that just instilled a different level of fear.
Yeah, then you start negotiating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How do I backpedal away from this?
Yeah, so that was like one of the funnier ones that I saw. And then other TikToks have been using like that sound and just talking about like how cool it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, like these TikToks are getting tens, sometimes hundreds, even millions of likes. So this is like, these are small. This is a small way that like,
it's a barometer.
Yeah, where somebody's like, wait, this is that new FF, like this line, like dang, it's a fire line. Like maybe I need to go see it.
Yeah.
I have not seen any Superman. I've seen Superman paid TikTok ads, like where they're like doing the behind the set stuff, but I have not seen any like authentic where the people are making the sound go viral.
Yeah, let's go.
And that's always a good sign. So also on top of that, I was streaming a couple nights ago, and I was like, I think it was Thursday night I was streaming actually, and maybe Wednesday night, and I was like, oh my gosh, Superman's a week away. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
like I didn't realize. I was like, that's kind of insane.
Yeah. And
somebody in my chat goes, Superman's a week away? ? That means Fantastic Four is 3 weeks away. And I was like, wait. You're using Superman as like a metric to know when the FF movie is coming out?
Let's go.
And they were like, yeah. And I was like, all right. I'm mentioning this on my podcast.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I mean, I don't know who this person is aside from the only thing I know about this person is they hang out in chat all the time. They're great. All I know is their username. I don't know anything about them. I don't know much about like their comic history. So as far as like I can tell, they're an average viewer. and they used Superman as a metric to be like, oh, once we get to Superman,
we can
then
finally
then we're 2 weeks away from FF. So
yeah, that says something.
That does say something.
It's anecdotal, but it is still evidence that there's a lot of groundswell and interest and in the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Maybe, more than just even Superman.
Yeah.
I know that's true for me.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to Superman, but I cannot. Okay, listen. 4th of July, which we're recording this the day after the 4th of July. 4th of July, I'm on social media, and one of my friends on social media comments, and he posts a picture of the symbol of the Fantastic Four being sky written in the sky above, like the San Fernando Valley. And this isn't just anybody. This guy is the guy who played the Human Torch in the 1990 never released Fantastic Four, and he said, this is up in the sky today, flame on. It's just it was funny, right? Within 10 minutes of, and I commented on it. Within 10 minutes of that, I saw it up in the sky. Or no, that's not right. Within 10 minutes of it, I saw it in the sky where I was in Orange County. And then I commented saying, yeah, it's down here too. They must have done it all over all over Southern California for sure. Maybe all over California, maybe elsewhere. If you guys saw it anywhere, let us know, because I'm curious. Like, that's a great marketing device, because everybody's out on the 4th of July. Throw it up in the sky. And, yes, it's the 4 in the circle, but it's also the 4th of July. So it's not just random, But I thought that was a pretty cool marketing ploy.
Yeah, it is, for sure. Yeah, I saw a tweet about it. It might have been the same one that was over the valley. I don't know. But yeah, it could have been from somewhere else too. I don't know.
Represent. Let's go.
All right. Damson Idris, who was in the new F1 movie with Brad Pitt, he is reportedly in talks with Marvel Studios to become the next Black Panther. This was the guy that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, who was in an interview, and they asked him if he's going to be the next Black Panther, and he just laughed. And then they said, like, a no answer means yes. And then he said, yes, no? And he was like, no, but he's like, I'd love to, but... And that's where he cut off. So,
but wait, I saw something on Twitter X that said Ryan Gosling was going to be the next Black Panther.
Yeah, you got baited.
I did. All I did, thankfully, I did nothing with it, but I screenshotted it. I sent it to Joshua, who's always my fact checker on these things related to movies, and I said true, and he just like sent LOL no.
It's like they were quick to make the new, what's it called? Marvel Knights.
Well, I was gonna say,
with T'Challa's son.
Yeah, which is, I'm interested to see where that goes. But I think what's this guy's name again?
Damson Idris. Damson.
Okay. I think that he's gonna have. Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah,
Ryan Gosling. I saw that. I went, what? No, what? No.
All right, this is So we mentioned this last week, but this is another piece to this puzzle that I'm only mentioning because it's kind of relevant to you. Last week we said that Dune Messiah starts filming soon, which is great because that means Dune Messiah is a fantastic movie. We talked about all the cinematography and Pattinson and the Batman coming right after. But this account says Dune Messiah starts shooting on Monday in Budapest, which you just visited.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah.
So...
No way.
Yeah. So,
okay. Budapest is a beautiful city. I have to say, any city has its beautiful parts, right? And a lot of cities are beautiful. Budapest isn't a city that I had in my mind as one of those beautiful places. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just, obviously it was ignorance, because I went there and it's up there in my top 3 of most beautiful cities that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just beautiful city. Wow, what a great place to film stuff, right? I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to film there. Maybe if there's like a studio, or maybe like outside of the city of Budapest, there's maybe some land that they're going to film. Because I think that they filmed a lot of Doom in Saudi Arabia, maybe.
I mean, there are buildings that are iconic. There's the Danube River and everything along either side of the Danube. Bridges and the Budapest Parliamentary building is just a stunning bit of architecture from the 1600s. But anyway, I'm not an art history guy, but I think that's about right. Beautiful place.
Yeah.
If they just want to make a scene in a place that looks really pretty and picturesque, that's gonna work.
Yeah, but the architecture. I mean, the architecture is so specific in Dune. I don't know what they're gonna do.
It didn't work to do that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking maybe some like flashbacks to Caladan. Like, is it green out there?
Yeah, it is green, very, very green. There's a lot of area just a few miles out of Budapest that's just forest with old crumbling castles all over the place. So does that make sense?
So maybe Caladan, like where the Atreides are from, their home planet.
Yeah, there's a lot of green, a lot of forest, a lot of forested hilltops with castles on them that overlook water. I guess that'd probably be it.
Yeah, because there's this scene in the book and the movie where Chani asks Paul, tell me about your home planet and all the water. So maybe there'll be like a flashback scene with Leto, or maybe like a vision of Paul. I don't know. I haven't read Dune Messiah, so I have no clue what happens. I know what happens later in those books. Crazy, but I don't know what happens in Dune Messiah. So, but either way,
it's fun.
Cool.
It's always fun to see a place you've been in a movie. You go, oh, I know that. I've been there.
yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, last piece of news here, and this is comic book news.
All right.
Not comic book movie, not anything adjacent. Somebody tweeted, what do y'all think about David Mack's work on Daredevil Echo? And, just the classic. We've all seen that cover.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all can see from there. He quote retweeted it. David Mack quote retweeted it. And he said, maybe working on some more now. So I'm hoping that means, you guys know, I've been a big hater of the current Daredevil run. I'm hoping that it's coming to an end soon. And maybe David Mack's coming back, or maybe he's coming back for a limited series.
That'd be great.
Or maybe just some variant covers, but still, I'll take them.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Yeah, his he created Echo, so he gets to, he has a lot of stake in this character. You know what I mean? Like what he's always going to be the one that we defer to, what his rendition of Echo, who it is, right? Kind of, and his run on Daredevil when he's introducing Echo, and then the subsequent times when he does work on Daredevil with Echo, it's just beautiful. I just love his artwork, and I mean, you and me both love his art.
Yeah, it's
and his writing.
There's one of I don't remember the issue off the top of my head, but it's in volume 2, and you can definitely read this comic on your own. Let me actually pull it up here because it's part of the David Mack, Brian Michael Bendis run, which is in volume 2. So like the first 8 issues was Joe Quesada and Kevin Smith, I think. Kevin Smith, like the Jane Silent Bob guy.
Yeah.
And then starting at issue 9, I believe that's what, Bendis joined. Oh, no, that was David Mack. David Mack wrote and drew. David Mack.
Yeah, I think he did the first 3, the parts of a whole.
Joe Quesada hopped back on. David Mack came back. And then Bendis hops on. And it's starting in issue 16. Issue 17, it's a issue with a little boy sitting crisscross applesauce holding Daredevil issue number 9, the first appearance of Echo. That story is all about that kid, and you can read that and have no context for like what comes before, goes after. It's an incredible, emotional comic. It's amazing. I highly recommend you read it. Issue 17 of Daredevil Volume 2, written by Brian Michael Bendis with art from David Mack. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that book, so I'll have to open it up and crack it open.
Yeah, it's a really good issue.
Speaking of crack it open, we'll get to the thing we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
It was the result of cracking open a whole bunch of books this past couple weeks.
Yeah.
We've been going through some of Joshua's acquisitions and just grading them. And I mean, ostensibly, that's what we're doing. We're there to grade it, bag and board it, and get ready for whenever your next claim sale is.
Yeah, I have, just for context, I bought huge collection. I mean, I don't know. We'll say around 10,000, give or take, probably give some more. So I got a lot of books to bag and board. And so Bob is right now what we like to call Summer Bob, in which he is on summer break. So I'm employing him via food.
It's paying me with Jersey Mike's.
I'm employing him via food
I'm easy.
to help me bag and board. I'm getting free labor. Don't tell California.
It's really fun because we, we love doing it anyway. But it's fun to go through the comics because they're in these old polypropylene bags, right? And so you can't really tell looking through the bags really what you have, and you take them out and just time and time again, and just remarkable how good a condition they're in.
Yeah, this guy kept them in great condition.
But the best part has been going through them because if you're going to grade a book, you have to grade a book, right? You make sure the Marvel value stamp is there if it's that time, and what the page quality is, and anything else going on inside there. But invariably, we just start, dude, look at this flash page, or oh, look at this right here. Check this art out. Or we wind up like flipping through, kind of reading the whole book. So it's taking way longer than it should, but it's so much fun because it's like being a kid again. I'm going through and a lot of these books are books that I've not actually gotten a chance to read, or look through. So we were doing that, and you were looking at this book, which is Amazing Spider-Man 234, 60-cent one. So it's early 80s, and inside of it was like a 5 or 6 page spread on the Marvel Guide to Collecting Comics, and so they're talking about, they're spelling out what the Golden Age is, the Silver Age, and what the Bronze Age is, and they talk about condition. They describe a lot of different things, but the one panel that really struck me, and you first, because you were looking at it first, was this one, not panel, but this whole 2-page spread, and it says on it, "Better than Money in the Bank" was the headline. And then it had values of books, key books, and what they're worth. And that kind of sparked a conversation, because we thought, well, what, it's that game we all play, right? Like, what if I could go back, to and talk to my 1982 self, and, if I had, this money, what could I do with it? So we decided it'd be fun to run a little data exercise to see, is that statement, here we are 40 years later, is it true? Is it really better than Money in the Bank? Would it have made more sense in 1982 to take a certain amount of money, put it in the bank, or invest it in comic books? And, we had to kind of draw some lines because otherwise it could be anything, right? So we opted for, in 1982, what it says in this book and what it says in the price guide that I used to do this. What were like the key comic books were? So Fantastic Four issue number 1. According to the price guide, in near mint condition or mint condition, it says $1,200. So we use that as kind of the break point. So if we had an Amazing Fantasy 15, $1,000. So we said, all right, well, if you had $1,200, if you put it in a bank, what would you have versus if you invested in comics? And so that's where it started. I used, this is the price guide that I bought in 1981, actually, that came out. It's an LB Cole cover, actually.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
I think it says 1981 in the Marvel Guide to Comics.
1981. So 1981 values. So we're using that. And the 1981 price guide didn't come out until midway through 1982 or midway through 1981. So I did the research based on if you bought the comic book in using prices from 1982, and I compared it to stocks, gold, savings account, and different individual stocks, S&P funds. Starting the date would be January 2nd, 1982. If you had bought these in January 2nd, 1982, and never touched them, how much money would you have if you started with $1,200? And I compared it. So
hold on, let me give some context. So we saw this, we started talking about it, and I was like, man, or we both were like, man, this would be like a great topic to talk about on the podcast. But I was like, well, I kind of told, I was like, I think you gotta like spearhead this whole thing. I was like, for one, I'm not like much of like a stocks guy. Like I'm kind of the stuff that's trending, like I know about, but I don't look at the stock market every single day. But two, I feel like this is the more important thing. I don't know what a dollar felt like in 1982. I was born in 1996. Right. So it was like when you were you tell stories of like going to conventions, like that one convention in SF, and seeing Hulk 181s for like $100 or whatever it was, and I'm like, dude, why didn't you? It was $100. Like, why didn't you buy it? And he's like, well, $100 is not $100 today.
Yeah, $100 in 1982 was. Yeah,
that's like months of your paper route, probably.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. It was definitely 2 weeks of my paper route to make $100.
Yeah, so I just have no context to like set this in. So I was like, hey, he was alive in the 80s.
Yeah, in 1982, for $1, you could get 4 candy bars. A candy bar was a quarter.
You can't even get one.
And then it went to, at some point, it got to 50 cents. But even so, right? For a bag of chips was 35 cents. A comic book, as we know, was 40 cents, 50 cents. It was right in that range. You could eat. In 1982, when I was a freshman in high school, I could go to Burger King, get a Whopper, large fries, and a shake for $3.13.
That's unreal.
So that's where I could buy a whole loaf of French bread, huge deli loaf of French bread, 99 cents. So for $1, it cost 10 cents to ride the bus anywhere in town. So like $1, $1 was, you weren't rich if you had $1, but if you had $20 in your pocket, like it cost $10, maybe $15 to fill up your car. So
yeah, it just sounds like he's lying to me.
Yeah,
that's unreal.
I in my lifetime, I've paid as little as 78 cents for a gallon of gas, and that was right about then. Man, so imagine.
Yeah, I feel like the cheapest I ever remember it being was like in the low twos, maybe high ones.
Typically, it was around between 90 cents and $1, but sometimes it would get lower. But that was about the cost of it. So if I had $5, I could put it in my car and I could drive it for a week.
That's crazy.
I mean, at least around town.
Yeah.
Even in my old 72 Ford Maverick beater. So yeah, I mean, so so it's hard because you start to adjust for inflation and all that. But it's what I found out was very interesting.
Yeah,
it was really fun. First off, the lesson I learned: almost anything is better than money in the bank.
That's amazing.
Money in the bank stinks. There's nothing to. Money in the bank is only good if you want to be able to access it because you need cash. Money in the bank as an investment is a horrible idea.
Yeah.
If you took $1,200 on January 2nd, 1982, and you stuck it in the bank, and I got all this information using AI. So I used Grok, X's AI, and then I kind of cross-referenced it with ChatGPT, and it all came out the same. So $100 stashed away in a bank from January 2nd, 82 to July 2nd, 2025. Now, interest rates fluctuate and the banks change, but the average consensus average was 5% the whole time. Now, you don't get 5% now, even though the prime rate, it costs you more than if you want to buy a car or something. But anyway, at 5% interest, compounding monthly, which is about right, your $1,200 would be worth a whopping today $9,791.64. And when you adjust that for inflation, like inflation dollars, what does $1,200 buy you in 1982 versus what is almost $10,000 buy you now? It really, if you were adjusted for inflation, it's basically your $1,200. You have about $3,200 of spending power. Wow. In 1982, basically. So it's a terrible place to put your money.
Yeah.
If you're trying to grow it.
Yeah.
Right? So were the editors correct saying it's better than money in the bank? Unless all you bought were 1990s Image comics, then yes, it was better than money in the bank.
Well, they had two lists. They had like a early Silver Age list.
Yep.
And then they had a Bronze Age list.
Yeah.
So
all right. So, and again, the assumption here is, would you buy the right books? And we assumed we picked winners. I picked winners to test this on. And would you, from 1982 until now, be able to maintain it in the precise condition you got it in? Which is assuming a lot, because you got silverfish, you got weather, you got moving it around, getting it banged up. So, but we're going to assume the best, that you made the best possible choices with your money, and that you kept the book. If you bought it in mint, it's still in mint condition.
So, just for reference here, so it's better than money in the bank. For the Silver Age books, the top 5 comics here that they're saying are Amazing Fantasy 15, FF issue number 1, Showcase number 4, ASM number 1, an Incredible Hulk #1.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have another list of Bronze Age, which is Daredevil 158, Peter Parker 27, Hulk 181, which is number 3 on that list, behind Daredevil 188 and Peter Parker. Number 4, X-Men 129, and number 5, Teen Titans #1. So,
yeah, I only for Bronze Age used Hulk 181.
Yeah,
it's the only one that rises to super high heights and high grade.
Yeah,
I mean
158 and 27.
Definitely not.
Yeah, maybe 27. You can get a nice copy for $50.
Yeah,
or this says 25.
First Punisher. They didn't even have X-Men Giant Size 1 listed.
Oh yeah,
which is bizarre.
Yeah,
or Werewolf 32 or anything like that.
So, but the Silver Age list is, I mean, to this day, like
pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. So.
Okay, so first I said, all right, well, what if you had $1,200 and you just invested it in the S&P 500 index fund, Standard and Poor's, which is what almost every stockbroker will tell someone who doesn't have a lot of experience, or even someone who does. It's a good place to put your money. Just leave it there, don't touch it. I was surprised it wasn't as high as I thought it would be. $1,200 from 82 to 2025. If you never touched it, you just left it there. Your $1,200, you wouldn't have done poorly. It would have landed you at $76,865. So not bad. But I thought it would be higher. I was pretty sure it would be higher than that. Like, that's it? Okay. What if you invested it in gold? Everybody says, yeah, invest in gold, gold. You see all these advertisements, old retired actors that haven't worked in 20 years. Buy gold. It's the only way to protect yourself against inflation. If you bought $1,200 worth of gold on January 2nd, 1982, and you just stuck it in your bank, and then you brought it back out in 2025, you would have $10,630 worth of gold. $10,630. So
better than the bank.
A little better than the bank, but not much. Not much better than putting it in the bank. And at least in the bank, you can grab it and spend it when you want. With gold, you got to grab it and you got to sell it, and then you got to spend it. And then I started messing around with individual stocks just for fun. And what I did here, and I'm going to start down here at the bottom of page 1 here. I went and I asked AI Grok, what were the most recommended stocks in 1982? Because it can get that information for us.
Yeah.
If I went to my broker with $1,200 in 1982 and said, what stock should I buy? What was being recommended in 1982? Because that's like, to be fair, right? That's what we would buy.
Well, hold on. Do you have a list of like what's out compared to like what's recommended? So like Apple.
I have a list of what's out, and I did do Apple.
Okay.
But I did ones that would have been recommended, and I did ones that because I was just curious, because we know they did well.
Yeah, I guess that's my question is like, do you have like a short list of like, not just like what was recommended, but like what was existing at that time? Like okay.
Yeah, I did a little both. So now this one wasn't one that was necessarily recommended, but it was one that everybody bought because it was the Apple of the day. It's IBM.
Oh yeah, sure.
I didn't really even realize, I didn't know until I did this, that IBM stands for International Business Machines. I didn't know that. Did you?
No.
I just thought about IBM. I never really thought about it. It's just an entity. But anyway, if you put $1,200 in IBM in January of 1982 and you never touched it, $1.45 million. So even though IBM is not like the standard PC anymore, you would have done just fine.
Wow.
You would have done really, really well. This one showed up as one of the stocks in 1982 that was highly recommended. One of the top 5 to 10 most recommended stocks in 1982 was for the Winnebago campers.
Oh my God.
The only time I've seen a Winnebago was in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
That's a Winnebago.
Yeah.
It's the big campers. In 1982, people were saying buy a stock in a Winnebago.
All right.
Surprisingly, you would have made money if you bought it $1,200 in 82 and didn't touch it. Winnebago's still around, $157,000. Wow! So better than the bank, better than the S&P, a whole lot better than gold, but not nearly as good as IBM stock.
Huh?
Right. We'll get to the comics in a second. Here's another one that was highly recommended. Tandy. You're like, what's that? Tandy was the. Anybody remember the TSR 80s? Those were the early computers before Apple. Tandy was Radio Shack. and it was the computers that Radio Shack was putting out, and they were the top of the line computer you could buy. I wanted a TSR 80, I think it was what it was, or TRS 80, and my parents said no. That would have been better if I bought that than if I had bought stock in it. However, $1,200 stock invested in Tandy in 1982. Its value today, $0. They went bankrupt. they went belly up in 2015. They folded back into Radio Shack, but Radio Shack actually went insolvent and bankrupt, and that stock went to $0 in 2015. So if you had listened to your stockbroker and bought Tandy, trying to ride the PC wave, no money for you.
Dang.
What about Citicorp?
Wait, what about if?
Go ahead.
Did you pull the info on if you would have bought one of those old computers and you had it today?
You know, I didn't, but it would certainly be worth more. Like if you had an old TSR 80, you could probably sell it for $10,000.
Yeah,
I would say, yeah. But that's actually a cool thing to look up. I'll have to look that up. Citicorp stock, which is Citibank and all that, $1,200 in 1982. If you never sold it, $125,000. I thought it would be higher. Citibank, right? I mean, they're huge.
Wow.
Not really that great. I mean, not bad, but not great.
Yeah.
Hasbro stock, which is a video game company, right? $1,200 in Hasbro stock. Hasbro stock has had since 1982 8 splits. 8 splits.
Okay.
$1,200 would have bought you 2,727. So 27 shares. In 1982, $1,200 would have bought you 2,727 shares. Just based on the splits alone between...
Can you explain splits in case?
Yeah. Okay. A split means the stock price rises to a point where the company says, look, we don't want the stock to be $1,000 a share. So we're going to split it and make... and now the stock's worth $500 a share. And if you have that stock, you now have double the amount of shares. So usually...
Apple, Tesla just did it recently.
Yeah. Amazon's done it. Stock gets really high. Google did it. They split it. Just so it's more manageable because nobody can buy a share if it's $3,000. Amazon, their stock was up almost $4,000 a share at some point, or maybe higher than that, and you could only own it in like parts in a mutual fund. So they split an 8-to-1 split or something crazy like that. Hasbro had 8 separate splits, and so if you had bought those 2,727 shares, by the end of all that, you'd have 138,000 shares. In 2025, 138,000 shares. Those 138,000 shares today are worth $19.94 million. So that right now is your winner. Hasbro video games.
But mind you, this isn't Money in the Bank.
But this is not Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is disaster. If you got money just sitting in the bank, wow. There's not. In fact, I'm not going to say because we're not giving investment advice, but. It's not the only. It certainly is historically not showing to be the best place to park it, right?
Man, Hasbro, there's.
Yeah, I should have looked up what were the games Hasbro was putting out. I didn't, but
yeah, with everything, right? Like board games, action figures. Yeah, they do everything. At least today, they do everything.
And yeah, right. Okay, this is a fun one. What about Electronic Arts stock? Remember Electronic Arts? Yeah, they're still around. EA. When I was in 1982, the big game they had out. Or it may have come out a few years later, but it was the Dr. J versus Larry Bird one-on-one basketball game. I still have that game, the floppy disk, and I still have an Apple II that plays it. So I can still play that game. Electronic Arts didn't exist in 1982 as a stock, but it did exist as a company. And me and my friend Chris, the guy who I sent that text to start the podcast, he and I used to talk about that stock. We'd say, if this only had a stock, we'd buy it. And then, of course, by the time 1989 rolled around, I was a junior in college, and I was interested in doing smart things anymore. I went to college and got stupid, so what does that tell you? But they went public in 1989 at 22 cents a share. And then they had 3 2-for-1 stock splits in 1991, in 1993, and in 2003.
Wow.
So
91 and 93 after starting in 89, that's impressive.
Yeah, they split quick.
Yeah.
So if you had purchased $1,200 worth of stock at 22 cents a share, so I just did it for 1989, you would have wound up with 43,632 shares at the cost on July 2nd, 2025, a few days ago, $155 a share. And then once you added dividends, because the stock is a dividend paying stock, $6.95 million.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, EA, they're like the biggest.
So I'm kind of kicking myself because I knew it when I was, I knew it in 1982, but in 1987, I didn't care that I knew it.
Yeah.
And in 1987, I could have scraped together $1,200. And I'm sorry, maybe not in 1989. I couldn't have put that much together, but I could have put some together.
Maybe half.
But I got stupid. I was more focused in buying kegs than buying stocks. Not a good decision. Lots of bad decisions I'm confessing right now. I don't know what's gotten into me. How about this one though? How about buying stock in Marvel?
That's going to be a windy story.
Yeah, there's an interesting story because Marvel, as we know, went bankrupt, declared bankruptcy in 1996. But unlike the Radio Shack bankruptcy, they restructured and then came out of bankruptcy and ultimately got acquired by Disney. So it's an interesting windy road where you have to say, all right, you still own the stock, and when it went bankrupt, your shares would have come back at a certain valuation, and then those stocks would have gone up with the price when Marvel stock went up, and then ultimately would have bought you X number of shares of Disney when Disney acquired it. Like if you owned stock in Marvel when Disney bought it, then that stock would have been replaced with Disney stock, and they based it on a formula and all that stuff. But it's great because I didn't have to do the math because AI did it for me.
Sure.
And so it's really cool. So when did Disney acquire it? 2009. But if you did keep the money in Marvel and then that money was reinvested in Disney based on what you had when Marvel went out, you would have had not as much as you think, 197,000.
Today?
Yeah, today.
Interesting.
So would it made more sense to buy Marvel stock or the Marvel comics? We're about to find out because we're going to get to the comics in a second. All right, here we go. This is the comics page. Oh, wait, no, sorry. There's one more. I did Apple.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this one, I had to save this one for last. Okay, Apple stock did exist in 1982.
Okay, wait. I just, out of curiosity, because your dad is a big stocks finance guy. Mm-hmm. Do you know if your dad bought Apple stock?
He did not.
Back in the day. Okay.
He didn't. If he did, I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah, I guess we'd all know.
I'd be in Monte Carlo or something. But okay, because check this out. In 1982, you could buy stock in Apple. Very little known company. Stocks were available at 4 cents a share.
Oh my God. In 1982? I don't even want to know.
So here, let's do this. In 1982, if you had $1,200, and I promise you that my friend Chris and I told our parents about the whole PC thing and home computers and all that. But, we were just kids. Who's listening to us, right? You could have purchased for $1,200, 30,000 shares of Apple stock in 1982. And now let's talk about the stock splits. I'm just going to walk you through the stock splits. In 1997, a 2-for-1 split. So in 1997, you would have your 30,000 goes to 60,000 shares. In 2000, another 2-for-1 split. So now you have 120,000 shares. In 2005, another 2-for-1 split. So now you have 240,000 shares. In 2014, are you ready for this? A 7-for-1 split. So 24 times 7, you almost have 2 million shares of stock.
Oh my God.
And then in 2020, a 4-for-1 split. And then if you account for dividends and everything else, so here I did all the math. You would have 6,720,000 shares of Apple stock today. Oh my gosh. And Apple stock, as of July 2nd this year, the valuation of $207.82 a share. So your $1,200 in Apple stock in 1982 would be worth today $1.56 billion. So there's your ultimate winner. You can't do better than that. I'm sure Amazon gives it a run, or maybe Microsoft, but 1.56 billion, because they actually existed in 1982.
And you told your dad about Apple back in the day?
Well, yeah, we wanted an Apple computer, and we said the computers were like the future.
So you're gonna bring this worksheet to your dad?
I'm going to show it to him.
I'm going to show it to him and scold him.
I'm going to show it to him on my last day there, so he doesn't kick me out of his house. And I'll make sure I tell it to him when my mom's not around.
Yeah, yeah.
1.56 billion. So nothing's going to touch that.
It just seems like I mean, obviously there's so many cashing out at what point, because when you see it going, you're going to get scared the higher it goes up. Yeah. So it's like, who knows if you even hold on to it that long, or even hold on to all of it, maybe cash out half. But
so have you seen that movie Forrest Gump where he says that Lieutenant Dan invested his money in some fruit company, and you see he opens up the narrator, Forrest Gump's voice says that, and then he's looking at the check in the mail or the letterhead, and it's Apple, but it's the Apple computer.
Yeah.
And then later, when he gives half of his money from the stock in Apple to Bubba's mom, because Bubba died in Vietnam, so he gives the money to his mom, and his mom faints. And now the next thing you see, his mom is basically owns this massive plantation. She's a former cook in the house, African American cook in the house. Now she owns the house and she has her own chef. That's not make believe. That kind of money invested in Apple in the early 80s would have netted you numbers like that, billions of dollars. I think you hear the crypto stories too. People who bought who bought the crypto at the right time and held it and all that stuff. So there's your ultimate winner, but. Let's take a look at the comics, though, because that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to find out. Fantastic Four issue number 1 was a $1,200 book in 1982. So that's the standard we used. It was the most expensive Silver Age book.
And this is because this thing at least doesn't say conditions, but is it?
Okay, so let's talk about condition. Condition, I went with 9.2 because in the they're using Overstreet prices, and Overstreet prices in 1982 they just says mint, but later on their highest value they give is for a 9.2. They say if it's more than 9.4, then we're not going to say, but 9.2 is what we consider to be what we'll call kind of like the same way when we sell a book. I don't really like to go higher than saying it's a 9.2 because at that point, So I went with the 9.2, but I did, just out of curiosity, add a few other conditions to the price because I was curious of what it would be. So FF in a 9.2 FF, it was $1,200 in 1982. That's right. 9.2 based on, I went to GoCollect, I don't have GPA. Fair market value for that book in that condition is $600,000. If you have it at 9.6, $2 million. So were they right? Better than buying it, than putting it in my bank? Of course. Better than a lot of stocks, better than the S&P, better than pretty much anything.
Yeah. And I think something to make note is if you're taking that advice, better than money in the bank, and you're a collector at that time, you're definitely prioritizing condition.
Right.
You're not just, you're being mindful about what you're buying.
We're going to assume that you bought a mint copy of these books.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't take $1,200. And in fact, that's what you would get that much for. If you had $1,200, you're getting a mint copy of FF.
Yeah.
Amazing Fantasy 15 in 1982.
Oh gosh.
In 9.2 or mint, according to Overstreet in 1982, cost $1,000. And $1,000 was out as much in the stratosphere as 10,000 is to me now. Or maybe 100,000 is to me now. I could manage 10,000. I can't do 100,000 for anything and stay married. But okay, so Amazing Fantasy in 1982, $1,000 in a 9.2 fair market value today, 800,000 in a 9.2.
Seems cheap.
It seems cheap. Now, if you have it in a 9.6, which is highest graded, I think, it's 3.6 million.
Ooh.
So it's possible that your book could be somewhere in between those two.
Oh.
You buy a mint book, it may get graded a 9.2, it may come back a 9.4, it could even come back a 9.6. So it's between 800,000 and 3.6 million, which is a big gap. But anyway, if we're going 9.2, it's 800,000. So you make what you want of that information. That's kind of the range. Showcase 4.
This is a big one.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Showcase 4 was a $1,000 book. So you'd still have $200 left over, just like if you bought Amazing with the 1,200, you wouldn't have spent it all.
In hindsight, for me,
Mm-hmm.
I the whole time traveler.
Yeah.
Between those 3 books, I'd be buying that one. In hindsight,
Showcase. Well, but here's the thing. Look at this. In a 9.2 right now, FMV for Showcase 4 is only 140,000.
Really?
And in a 9.6, it's only 900,000.
Wow.
The demand isn't as high, even though there are fewer of them.
I would have thought it was more because it was
Me too.
first Barry Allen and first.
I was
Silver
sure it
Age.
was going to be worth more, but it wasn't. FF1, it's worth more. No, it's not. Yeah, FF1 and Amazing Fantasy 15 are worth more than Showcase 4 in any condition.
Wow.
Which really surprises me. But still a whole lot better than Money in the Bank.
Maybe I need to buy 1.8 then.
Jump up in there. Get it. Okay. This is where it gets really interesting. Hulk #1.
That's a big one.
Okay. Hulk #1.
I'd buy this over Showcase 4.
Okay. And you would do really well because Hulk #1 was only $600 in 1982. So for your 1,200, you'd get 2 copies. You have 2 copies of Hulk 1 for 1,200.
Man.
So a Hulk issue #1 in a 9.2 today by itself, just one, is an $800,000 book.
Yeah.
So your $1,200, if you invest it in Hulk 1, would be $1.6 million because you'd have 2 of them.
Wow.
In a 9.2. And a 9.2 is the highest census, apparently. I couldn't find out.
Really?
Yeah, at least in Go Collect. There wasn't anything higher. So there you go. But isn't that crazy? You get 2 copies.
Yeah.
So actually, your best bet for $1,200 so far in 1982 would have been to buy Hulk 1.
Let me see. I'm just going to check CGC census.
Yeah, check the CG. I kind of find that hard to believe that the highest is a 9.2, but maybe that's just the highest one that's been sold. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because they can't report a sale that hasn't happened.
Incredible Hulk 1. Wait, it just popped up and then went away. 1962.
Mm-hmm.
Pop data is loading. There's 194, 792s.
That's it. Wow. And the 9.4 has not sold.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So the 9.4 is going to be a
Record breaking.
Yeah. Okay, but it gets even more interesting. What if you took your $1,200 and instead you bought Tales of Suspense 39, first Iron Man? Now, you might not think that's the best place to go, but check it out. Tales of Suspense 39 in 1982 was only a $250 book in mint condition.
Wow.
Because Iron Man hadn't really popped.
Yeah.
So that means you get 5 copies of it for $1,200. And a 9.2 fair market value today, according to Go Collect, is $105,000. So your $1,200 in 1982 nets $1,025,000. So basically $1 million plus $25,000 kicker. And if it's in a 9.6 is a $420,000 book. So if you happen to be in a 9.6, you'd have 2.1 million. But even in a 9.2, you'd have a little over $1 million in Tales of Suspense 39. So Hulk 1's still the best bet of all of them so far. Hulk, well, unless your Amazing Fantasy happened to be in a 9.6, then you're better. And then I did one Bronze Age. I did Hulk 181, and this was really amazing and fascinating. Check this out. Hulk 181 in 1982, $12, dude.
No way.
$12
in that price guide?
Yes.
Let me see the price guide. I don't believe you.
You don't believe it. Look it up. Incredible Hulk 181. Watch out, the book's falling apart.
Is it under H or I?
It's under I. I know it's weird. Incredible Hulk 181, $12 in mint condition. By the time I started really trying to collect it, it had risen to about a $25 book. So it had doubled in value. It's gonna come up. He's gonna see it.
There it is. 180, 181, even cheaper. Oh no, I see it. Yep, $12.
12
mint condition.
$12.
Wow.
So
180.
So for $1,200, you get 100 of them.
Wow.
In mint condition.
Wait a second. No.
What?
That's 180. 181 is $5.
No, wait. What? Let me see this. Why is one? Oh, this is before they did the whole.
Yeah. 180 is $12. 181 is $5.25.
Oh, I must have assumed. Hang on a second. Let me get my calculator out. Okay, so this is going to be the winner.
Oh my gosh.
So $5.25. Okay, we're gonna do this in real time, guys.
181. So 180. It says first appearance of Wolverine, mint $12. 181, 182 Wolverine cameo. 182 first appearance of Jack Jackson. Mint condition is $5.25.
Okay, so here's the deal. So that means you get for $5.25. I'm so glad you looked that up. So look at this. So for $5.25, for $1,200 at $5.25, you get 229 copies of it. 228.57 to be exact, but we'll round it up. 229 copies. In fact, let's round it down. 228 copies. 228 copies of Hulk 181, and in a 9.2, the value is 7,250. So times 7,250. So you would have, if they were only just all of them in 9.2, but you could assume some are going to be higher, right? But in a 9.2, you'd have $1,653,000. If they were in let me see, if I go back, 7,250, 228. If they were in 9.4 condition, because in 9.4 condition, what are they worth? What's it worth? Look up what it's worth. I didn't write it down in here because I all these numbers don't mean anything. If they were in 9.4, what's the Go Collects or a GPA for 9.4?
Pulling it up, one sec.
Because that's a good average for that book. Because you could assume they'd probably be a 9.4.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not impossible. Let's see. And there's a bajillion of them on the census. So like,
yeah.
Hulk 181.
So we actually caught it in the price guide when 180 was the more valuable one.
Yeah.
I should take a screenshot. I should just snap a picture of that because that's. It used to be that 180 was the more valuable one.
9.4 last sale is 8,400, but it's 90-day average is 9,300.
All right, we'll go 90.
Do 10K because 12-month average is 10K.
Okay. Yeah, so then $2.28 million.
Wow.
So your best bet, if you were...
Do 9.6 because that's not out of the realm of possibility either.
Yeah, all right, let's do 9.6. 228. Okay, what's 9.6 fair market value?
12-month average, 18.2.
Wow. 18,200. This wins $4,149,000.
Goodness gracious.
So based on our calculations, in 1982, if you had $1,200 to put into comics, your best bet wouldn't be Amazing Fantasy 15. It wouldn't be Hulk 1. It wouldn't be Tales of Suspense 39. It wouldn't be FF1. It wouldn't be Showcase 4. It'd be Hulk 181.
That is
because
bananas.
Because it's a $5 book. $5. $5.50.
But obviously that's believing in the you'd have to be believing in Wolverine back then.
Right.
Wow. That's insane.
So it's unlikely that somebody would invest $1,200 in Hulk 181s.
And the truth is, I mean, if you obviously this is a big hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
But truth is, if you bought, how many copies was it?
You would have got 228.
228 copies. You might even get like 198 back, a 9. Like you're probably getting all like
right.
You're getting some 8.0s in there. Like,
yeah. But if you were, by my experiment, if you were buying them and getting them in 9.2, if you're getting them in mint, you're scrutinizing when that's what you're getting, that's what it'd be worth today. But it's unrealistic that anybody would do it because it's like I did notice I didn't include, well, what if you spent it all on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1
right,
or Cerebus the Aardvark 1, because it's not realistic. Like, first off, you couldn't spend, they're only how many copies? 6,000 copies of TMNT 1 anyway.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be realistic about it. Like no one's buying gobbledygook like that many times. But the more realistic ones, like getting 2 copies of Hulk 1,
that's
would have been the most
in the realm possibility,
fruitful use of that money.
Yeah.
Unless you got a truly 9.6 copy of AF-15.
Yeah.
But ideally you'd have just bought Apple stock.
Yeah.
Took your 1.48 billion and lived your life.
Yeah. Wow. What a thanks for doing that. All that research.
It was really fun. It made me think, well, what stocks are around now?
Yeah.
We're not a stock podcast.
No.
But one thing that I did do at the start of the year is I took some advice from just the internet, like we all do, right? And I took the industry leaders, the various industry leaders connected to artificial intelligence, whether it's chip companies or cybersecurity or cloud storage. There's a few other areas that connect with AI.
Yeah.
And I put, a couple $1,000s in each of them as industry leaders. I figured, well, they're not all going to hit, but some of them will because industry leaders.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to see what happens. How am I doing? Am I up or down? I'm up, but the stocks generally are up this year.
Yeah.
On these stocks, they've been done. Most of them have done really well. But we're talking. I can't really emulate this experiment because we're talking holding it for 50 years.
Yeah.
40 years. And I'm not even going to be around in 50 years. I'm pretty confident of that.
Yeah.
But in it's not. I'm not gambling with it because it's just a small piece of the portfolio.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it with an IRA account, so it's retirement money I can't touch anyway, but I can buy stocks with it.
Yeah.
So I've got a 401k that I don't play with. It's some mutual funds. This other one, so I decided to do that. Maybe if we ever did a podcast on other financial stuff, it'd be kind of fun. Like maybe at the end of the year, I'll say, okay, how did I do? Like I'm definitely gonna do it for myself.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll share with you how it went. Like what were the stocks I bought? And how much money did I put in, and percentage wise, how did I do, up or down, and see how it goes.
Yeah,
but it was really fun to do.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and I mean, comics in general it's like it's a longer hold. Like you gotta hold that thing. Like it's got to be the right key at the right time for a long time.
Yeah,
before you start seeing before it catches up or even passes with the stock. Because you can invest in Apple, and in 5 years you can make a decent percentage of profit.
Right.
You could buy a copy of Hulk 181 now, and in 5 years you could be sitting in the same spot. You could be
that's right.
lower. So you're talking about a long sit and hold.
But it's like you said a long time ago, there's no way the first appearance of Superman is going to be worth nothing.
Yeah.
But a stock can most definitely be worth nothing.
Yeah.
It goes bankrupt and you have nothing to show.
Yeah. Because, I said that in the mindset of even in an apocalyptic world when you're trading and stuff, money and, I don't know how many of you guys have played The Last of Us or watched The Last of Us show, but it means nothing to them in that world.
Yeah.
Trading and bartering. And so there's even in that game where nostalgia, or in the show rather. Well, no, in the game too. Because you can find collectible cards and you can find comics in the game, just comics that are made up in their own world, but have a nostalgia factor to the characters.
Yeah. That
have a level of meaning that's it's worth more than the American dollar is in that game.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And so when if you lived in the Last of Us world, an apocalyptic world, and you like find an abandoned house and you start looting the house and you find like somebody's comic collection.
Yeah.
Like that comic collection could probably you could trade. Obviously, probably not like what it's worth today, but you could definitely trade.
Yeah.
Some stuff. But if you bring a pile of money to somebody in that type of world, it's just paper.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing.
Burn it for fuel like they did in Germany after World War One.
Yeah, that's literally probably what they would do is like, oh, thanks, we can make fire with this.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't really have a lot, or use it to jot notes down.
Yeah, and if the world does turn around and the world is fixed and it's not apocalyptic anymore, it's probably gonna be a new currency anyway.
It'll be a new currency.
But that Superman 1 in a world like that, Hulk 181, that'll mean something before the American dollar and after the American dollar.
I mean, and it's like we said before, like why do we do it? Like I buy the comics less now to invest than when I was 15 years old, because I had a much longer time horizon, you know. Dreams of I'll buy a house with these comics, you know.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't sold any of them ever, I probably could have done it, you know, but I did sell them. But I buy the comics because I love the hobby. I love, you know, did I buy this book? Does this book mean everything to me, you know, as far as my collection goes, because I think it's going to be worth 5 times as much in 5 years? Absolutely not. That is not why I bought it.
Yeah.
I don't honestly care that much where this book goes in value. If it goes up or it goes down, it won't change to me one bit how much I love this book being in my collection. It won't change it at all.
Yeah.
Would I love to see it be worth more? Sure, because it's like a pat yourself on the back. Hey, good job, you guessed right, or whatever. You know, you were wise with your money or whatever. But I don't ever plan on seeing money from this book. I don't ever plan to sell it. You know, I just, you know, if I'm ever selling this book, that means things have gone horribly wrong in my life somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That means, and that's okay. Look, things can go horribly wrong, and I would sell it. But I mean, my personal desire would be that this is just something that I own, that I'm proud of. I'm proud to own. Like you might be proud to own a vintage Harley Davidson, or you might be proud to own, you know, a cool Air Jordans or something like that. I know there's no inherent value in it, right? I know that there's more things in life that truly are priceless to me. This is not priceless to me.
Well, that's why you sold all those books.
Yeah.
Because you had a daughter on the way.
But it doesn't mean I can't enjoy it. You know, I don't want to, you know, I'm not making an idol of it. I'm not worshiping this thing,
right.
You know, but I'm proud to own it after all these years. But it's absolutely fun to check the price guide and see, oh, you know, in the same way, it's not fun when you buy a book and 3 months later you see it selling for 20% less. It doesn't feel great because you're like, but you win some, you lose some. It does feel good when they do go up.
Yeah.
You know? So
small joys.
Yeah. You know,
it's worth it.
So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's so much fun to do. I didn't buy Apple stock in '82. I didn't buy a bunch of first Wolverines either. So it goes, you know, but I did have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh man. Did your friend text you back?
Oh yeah. Let me see. It'd be cool if he did. He may.
Let's see. Moment of truth.
No, there's no text back from him yet.
All right. Well, I'll have to reconvene next week.
It's because his notifications are silenced. He's I don't know why, but he's not ghosting me. But anyway.
Well, we'll see what he said next week. We'll be sure to follow up.
He will respond.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching, listening. That was a fun little thing. Remember, this isn't actual financial advice.
No.
This was just a fun little
experiment.
Kind of, like a little ride through history.
Yeah. If anybody did anybody like make an incredible buy a long time ago and it totally paid off? I'd love to know.
Yeah.
You know, something that you bought and held and it just worked. It could be a comic, could be a stock. Just let us know in the comments because those are fun stories.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Yeah. Or maybe if you found something in a dollar bin that
I love those
today
stories,
that you like, it's just crazy. Yeah. Let us know in the comments.
Yep.
We appreciate you guys as always. Make sure you're here next week because we will be giving our Superman review. I'm kind of thinking, and I don't know, I guess it's up to you. I'm kind of thinking, because we'll see it Thursday, right?
Yep.
We'll see it Thursday. I'm kind of thinking we get together after the movie Thursday night. We talk for 30 minutes and just give our gut reaction walking out of the movie, 20-30 minutes, and we just give like our first reaction like as soon as we get back. And then we can come back and record actually the full podcast later if you're down for that.
Yeah, I think we did that with Deadpool. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, Deadpool, we did the whole thing, right?
Yeah, but we'll just do the reaction.
Yeah, so this time we'll just do like, we'll just sit down, turn the camera on, and just be like, okay, what are we feeling?
It was the greatest movie since,
And then we'll sleep on it. Maybe we'll sleep on it for a day or two. I don't know. We can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so we'll do that. We'll have 2 reactions for you guys next week. We'll have raw, 20 minutes walking out of the theater reaction. And then we'll have we slept on it. These are the things that are like kind of, because your mind's changed once you sleep on things. Like,
yeah, for sure.
So, make sure you're here for that next week, right here on this channel. Make sure you got post notifications on. Remember, we got the giveaway for Luke Cage Hero for Hire. Make sure you comment on the last video your favorite moment on the podcast from this last year. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. I'm at Spros_comics. He is at Mr. Longbox. And we'll see you next week for the long-awaited Superman review.
Yes. See you
guys.